Okay, we learned that major chords are made out of a major scale by taking the root, third, and fifth of a major scale. And remember, the word for scale is la scala, which means a ladder of notes. So if we take the root, third, and fifth, the rung and the third rung and the fifth rung, out of that major scale we have the major chord. And then to make it minor, we lower the third a half step. Now I'd like to take it a step further today to augmented chords. And to make an augmented chord, an augmented triad, a three-note chord, we simply raise the fifth a half step of whatever the major chord is. So if the major chord is like that, root, third, and fifth, and it is, then we raise the fifth a half step. So that's C augmented. So that's F major. What would F augmented be? Yes, you'd raise the C a half step to C sharp. That's G major, so G augmented would be there. That's D major. Remember why it's D major? Because we have to base our playing on the D scale, so the third is a black key. And we raise the fifth a half step to make it augmented, so that's D augmented. Now that's E major. How would I make that E augmented? There's no black key to the right of E, so I'm going to take a white key and call it B sharp. So white keys can be sharps and flats as well as naturals, okay? So that's B sharp. So that's E augmented chord. That's the A major chord, and again, if I raise the fifth a half step and there's no black key to the right of it, then I have to use a white key, but I'll call it E sharp. I can't call it F, I've got to call it E sharp. There's the D flat major chord. If I raise the fifth a half step, I move it up to A natural from A flat. So I call it A natural. That's the E flat major chord, and if I raise the fifth a half step from B flat, then I play B natural. There's the A flat major chord, and if I raise the fifth half step, I move it from E flat to E natural. There's the G flat major chord, and if I raise the fifth a half step, I move it from D flat to D natural. Here's the B major chord. Now, the fifth is already a sharp, isn't it? I have B, D sharp, and F sharp, so the fifth is F sharp. So how in the world do I sharp a sharp? Well, again, I go to a white key that it looks like G, but I got to call it what? I can't call it F sharp because that's already F sharp. I have to call it F double sharp. And if you saw that on paper, on notation, it would look like a fat X. A fat X, not a sharp sign, but a fat X in front of F. Okay, so that's F double sharp. So that's B augmented. In B flat augmented, you would simply raise F to F sharp. Okay. So that's the formula for forming augmented chords, and of course they can be formed all over the keyboard. You're not locked there. I mean, you could do it in your left hand. You can spread them out like that, and they have that kind of feeling. By the way, they're transitional chords. Usually you're using an augmented chord as you move to another chord like that. Okay? Not always. Sometimes they're used for scary effects like this. You'll hear on movies, when they want to create a scary effect, they'll use an augmented chord, or they'll use a diminished chord, which we'll talk about next. So far we have 12 major chords, 12 minor chords, and 12 augmented chords. And next time we'll take up the 12 diminished triads. So we'll see you then. Bye-bye for now.